and let's join the draw.
Nau mai, haere mai ki Aotearoa, New Zealand. What an incredible welcome. Friends in rugby, here in the room, across New Zealand and around the world. This is the moment we have all been waiting for, the Rugby World Cup 2021 draw. Kia ora, welcome to Sky City Theatre here in Auckland. My name is Laura McGoldrick and I am going to be your host as we discover the pools for Rugby World Cup 2021, which will be played here in New Zealand for the very first time. And today we are delighted to be joined by stars of the game, government representatives and members of our rugby family. You are all very welcome. This is a live event, an exciting event, the moment teams and fans can start to plan, so we invite you all to join the conversation using the hashtag RWC 2021 on social and digital media. And now, to kick off proceedings, I am delighted to welcome World Rugby Chairman and World Rugby Hall of Famer Sir Bill Beaumont to say a few words. Now, of course, owing to global travel complications, he can't be here with us today, but he has sent us this message.
Prime Minister, special guests, friends in rugby around the world, haere mai. I cannot be with you today, but I'm delighted to be extending a warm virtual welcome to the Rugby World Cup 2021 draw. Like the teams, the fans around the world, I'll be watching the live broadcast in anticipation and joining the conversation on social media as we discover the composition of the pools for the 9th Women's Rugby World Cup, the first in New Zealand, the home of the world champions, the Black Ferns. I was impressed by Prime Minister Ardern's pledge to host an excellent Rugby World Cup for teams and fans, but an event that showcases the very best of women in rugby. 2021 will be a golden year for women's rugby. With this Rugby World Cup, the Tokyo Olympics, this is an unprecedented platform for growth. Each year, the number of girls getting into rugby is greater than the boys. Creating the opportunities and pathways on and off the field is key. We've been fostering the unstoppable rise of women in rugby through meaningful programs, leadership, coaching, and competition programs. Today is an exciting milestone on the road to a Rugby World Cup, and this will raise the bar and inspire millions of women and girls and boys for generations to come. I would like to thank all the teams and wish them the very best of luck, and thank the New Zealand government, the host cities, our friends at New Zealand Rugby for their passion in hosting what will be one of the great rugby events. Ka titi anō o kia toto.
A huge thank you to Sir Bill there. Would you please now help me in welcoming to the stage New Zealand Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Jacinda Ardern.
Kia ora koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui, kia koutou, and welcome. I am so excited to be here this morning to be a part of such an important milestone as we build towards the most important international rugby tournament of 2021. Hosted in the Southern Hemisphere for the first time, next year's Rugby World Cup will be contested by 12 teams, of which 9 are already confirmed. The remaining 3 will be announced following various scheduled playoff matches later this year. Pre-COVID-19, this tournament was going to be important to New Zealand. Now, it takes on an extra special dimension for the whole world. It's one of the few countries in the world where sport can even be played in front of packed stadiums of fans. Rugby World Cup 2021 offers us the chance to showcase New Zealand to a global audience as we unite behind the defending champion Black Ferns. As the current title holders, this tournament will mark the first time the team will have the opportunity to defend their title in front of home crowds as they chase their 6th world title. The tournament will be held in Auckland and Whangarei, and this official Rugby World Cup draw will determine who will play the first matches at Auckland's Eden Park and Whangarei's Northland Event Centre. The other world-class venue for the tournament is the Waitakere Stadium. I'm confident these games will be packed, with fans young and old, many of whom I'm sure will be wearing widely available Black Ferns merchandise. After all, this World Cup is an opportunity to grow the game here, but also internationally. An opportunity to showcase our elite athletes and provide inspiration for girls and boys. An opportunity to keep breaking down gender discrimination in sport. And finally, an opportunity to extend the manaakitanga that New Zealand is famous for. We are committed to a spectacular Rugby World Cup 2021, and we can't wait to welcome all 12 teams to Aotearoa, New Zealand. So without further ado, let's kick off the 2021 official Rugby World Cup draw. Kia ora koutou katoa.
Thank you, Prime Minister. And now let's take a look at what lies in store for fans and players alike at Rugby World Cup 2021 in Aotearoa.
Aotearoa, New Zealand. Our small group of islands lies in a vast ocean that connects us with our Pacific neighbours and all nations of the world. Like the most powerful waves, Rugby World Cup New Zealand 2021 is an unstoppable energy. Let us amplify and grow the game together. Show the very best of women's rugby. Inspire the next generation both on and off the pitch. Embrace those who call it a lifeblood and those who will. And connect like never before to celebrate the unlimited and unstoppable energy of this game. New Zealanders invite the world to join us in September for Rugby World Cup 2021.
Certainly gives me goosebumps. So, here we go. The moment fans and teams have been waiting for, the Rugby World Cup 2021 draw. Rugby World Cup 2021 in New Zealand comprises of 12 teams, allocated into 3 pools of 4 teams. The 7 teams who have qualified for the Rugby World Cup 2021 directly from Rugby World Cup 2017 will be placed in bands according to World Rugby Women's rankings as of 1 January 2020. As international rugby was disrupted across the globe in 2020 thanks to COVID, the seedings have been determined on rankings taken at 1 January 2020 prior to the pandemic. So let's take a look at the 7 pre-qualified teams and how they performed during Rugby World Cup 2017.
Wales have their tails up. Oh, Sinead Harries!
From centre back with Phillips, the captain, looking to add her name to the try list, and she does!
That was an absolute peach of a try.
It's nice pass. Is that the try that secures the victory for the Australians?
There's no way you're going to stop an athlete like that coming through.
And then the offload is brilliant to Mahalia Murphy! Australia in again!
So controlled, so quick. Canada sensing a try to finish things off. Elisa Allery, a charge, and Canada have got their 4th try. Count is over!
What an individual effort.
Kristen Thomas is going to keep USA in this tournament.
What a story! They know how to jouer this French team, don't they? It's like a tidal wave, an avalanche of good attacking play. Fabulous.
Lydia Thompson round the outside. Thompson, front race against Woodman. Who's going to win it? Thompson for England! Oh my word, what a score! Woodman, you're kidding me! That is magnificent!
Unbelievable.
Special.
What a tournament it's been, and what a fitting final that will go down in history.
For the first time, the World Rugby Women's rankings will be used to determine the draw seedings and bands for the 7 direct qualifiers in bands 1 to 3, with the 5 teams to emerge from the qualification process to be placed into band 3 and 4. So let's take a look at that qualification system. The remaining 5 teams for Rugby World Cup 2021 will be determined through a regional qualification process and the final qualification tournament. Fiji and South Africa booked their places in 2019 via the Rugby Africa Women's Cup and Oceania Rugby Women's Championship. The remaining 3 places will be filled by a qualifier from Asia and Europe, together with the winner of the final qualification tournament. The European playoff will decide a direct qualifier, Europe 1, and a place at the final qualification tournament, Europe 2. The Asia Rugby Women's Championship will deliver a direct qualifier, Asia 1, and a place at the final qualification tournament, Asia 2. The playoff between Samoa and Tonga this month saw Samoa claim a place in the final qualification tournament. Colombia and Kenya will play off for a place in the final qualification tournament. And the final qualification tournament will take place next year and deliver that final team to Rugby World Cup 2021. So the bands are therefore as follows. Band 1, New Zealand, England, Canada. Band 2, France, Australia, USA. Band 3, Wales, Europe 1, South Africa. Band 4, Asia 1, Fiji, and the final qualification tournament winner. And you can discover more about this process at www.rugbyworldcup.com/2021. At this point, I'd like to acknowledge the attendance of the independent scrutineers from Ernst & Young, who have placed the teams in each band for the draw according to the draw rules. To conduct the draw, would you please welcome back to the stage New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. Melody Robinson, former Blackfern and RWCL Board Director. Dr. Farah Palmer, former Blackferns captain and Hall of Fame inductee number 85. And Dan Carter, former All Black and Rugby World Cup 2011 and 2015 winner. As with previous draws, we start with the hosts, and Jacinda Ardern will draw the ball that confirms New Zealand's pool. Remember that New Zealand are seated in Band 1 and therefore will occupy the first position in the pool in which they are drawn. Prime Minister, would you show us what you have drawn? New Zealand there.
A.
Pool A. So New Zealand kickstart the draw and officially begin their journey to Rugby World Cup 2021, where they will be in Pool A. The balls have already been placed into a bowl, and may I remind you that the first team drawn will enter Pool A, the second Pool B, and then so on. So I'm going to ask Dan to kick things off with the draw of Band 4.
Final qualifier winner.
Final qualification winner, Pool A.
Asia 1.
Asia 1, Pool B.
Fiji.
Fiji in Pool C. So just to do a quick recap there, the final qualification tournament winner is Pool A, Asia 1, Pool B, and Fiji, Pool C. Melody, could I please ask you now to continue the draw for Band 3?
Wales.
Wales, Pool A.
Europe 1.
Europe 1, Pool B.
And South Africa.
South Africa into Pool C. Just to go over that again, Wales is in Pool A, Europe 1, Pool B, and South Africa, Pool C. The balls for Band 2 have been placed in the bowl, so I'd ask Farah to please continue.
Australia.
Australia into Pool A.
USA.
USA into Pool B.
France.
France into Pool C. Just to reiterate there, Australia, Pool A, USA, Pool B, and France into Pool C. And now for the final band, Band 1, and the top 3 teams in the World Rugby Women's Rankings at present. So to complete this draw for Rugby World Cup 2021, Prime Minister, would you please draw the final 2 balls?
Canada.
Canada into Pool B.
England.
England into Pool C. So let's go through that quickly. New Zealand, Pool A, England, Pool C, and Canada, Pool B. That concludes the draw. Thank you so much to our drawers. We appreciate that. Very stressful, wasn't it? Thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, so let's have a quick recap there of the pools. Pool A, New Zealand, Australia. We heard how much the fans here were excited about that. Wales and the final qualification winner there. Pool B, Canada, USA, Europe 1, Asia 1, and Pool C, England, France, South Africa and Fiji. I've asked Melody Robinson to stay on the stage with me. Well, what do you make of that, Mel?
Well, I think you heard the noise out there for Australia being in New Zealand's pool. Australia are one of the sleeping giants of women's rugby. They've got some incredible athletes in there, and it's a very close relationship between those two teams, as it is with the All Blacks and the Wallabies. And also, I think the French-England, that will be massive. France is the team that I've kept my eye on for the last few years. They've had a couple of wins over the world champion Black Ferns. They've got some incredible athletes in that side as well, so I think that will be a one to watch too.
You've been involved in rugby from being a player right through to admin level. So how are you feeling about this tournament getting closer? Does it feel more real now we're here today?
I'm so excited, and the reason for that's threefold. I think first and foremost, we've had Rugby World Cups here before, but this is the first time we'll see the female athletes in New Zealand, a rugby crazy nation, so it's history in the making. The other is that the venues for the pool games are in unique boutique type stadiums, so we're going to see a different type of experience for fans with the festival around the rugby, which is going to be really exciting. And then finally, this is the biggest ticket in town next year, and we know that because sponsors are really getting on board with New Zealand rugby. And why that's important is because if World Rugby and New Zealand rugby can commercialise this, then we can start having the conversation that women's sport is not a cost. Yes, it is an investment, but it's also bringing in revenue, and that's really exciting for the players underneath, where all that money will go to.
And Mel, I mean, I have to ask the question, former player, I mean, are you a bit jealous of a Rugby World Cup at home? Would you like to be playing?
I think it would be more like a comedy show if I was out there today. It is the next generation's moment to shine. We've got some household names in that team. You wait till next year, there'll be a lot more that people start talking about.
Melody Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Let's head down now to Ricky Swannell, who has got the Black Ferns captain.
Thanks, Laura. I have got Eloise Blackwell with me. Eloise, how are you feeling? That felt quite tense, didn't it? I don't know how everyone else in the room was, but you could feel the tension.
Yeah, 100%. Sitting there next to Fiol Famusili, another legend of the game, and, it was pretty nerve-wracking watching those balls being picked out.
All right, so here we've got New Zealand and Australia. We heard the ooh around the crowd. There's something special, isn't it? Trans-Tasman rivalry, but to be doing it a World Cup in New Zealand, that must be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm unsure if we've, well, not in my time, I've never been in a pool with Australia, but every time we come up against each other, it's a massive battle, and no doubt next year is going to be nothing different.
How do you think England and France are feeling right about now, if we wanted to have a bit of a shout-out to some of the rivals?
Yeah, it's interesting how the pools have come out. We've got an Australasian pool, a North American, and a Europe. So, yeah, all across all pools, there's some really quality teams, and there's going to be some tough games.
We saw that montage a little bit earlier when seeing New Zealand win, seeing Fiol lift that trophy, and you were there in the corner. Can you take us back and describe what that feeling was like to have achieved such a goal and winning a World Cup?
Yeah, like it was 3 years ago, but it still feels like it was yesterday. We both sat next to each other, said we got goosebumps, and it takes you right back to that match. What a game. Back to our fans that we had who travelled all the way from New Zealand over to Ireland to watch us. Yeah, words can't really explain that feeling.
And now to be able to have a chance to defend a title at home in front of your friends and your whānau in all of New Zealand, is that talked about within the team at the moment, and knowing how close that is and what that may be like?
Every opportunity we get to play at home is special, and some of our girls are yet to experience that, so that's going to be a really awesome moment for them. But in terms of the World Cup, we're not defending it, we're coming out to win it next year, so that's the plan for us going forward. And
I think she nailed it right. Well, thank you so much, Eloise. All the very best to you and the Black Ferns, and of course all our teams that will be here next year.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone for coming out nice and early.
So let's take a look again at those pools. Pool A there, New Zealand the hosts and current world champions. Australia, the big rivalry there to talk about. Then we've got Wales and the final qualification winner in Pool A. Pool B, Canada, USA, Europe 1, Asia 1. Pool C, another big rivalry between England and France, and we know France, they've appeared in 7 Rugby World Cups now. Their best result is 3rd, and you get the feeling they're hungry for a little bit higher than that this time round. South Africa and Fiji finished out that pool. Let's head over now to Carl Tanana, who has our Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Laura. Prime Minister, I know you're a massive rugby fan, being a Waikato girl, you have to be, I suppose, but just tell me, it's already been spoken about today, the importance of this New Zealand team, Black Ferns side, getting an opportunity to play at home. How cool.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. And, you know, really this time that we're all in, I think has brought added appreciation for when we've got a chance to go out and support our elite athletes in a stadium, you know, in person, and cheering them on home turf will be incredible.
I was about to ask you that because what's happened over the course of this year, I know it's the excitement, I suppose, and the importance of New Zealand being able to get the opportunity to host a global tournament. I mean, just tell me, from your view, what does that mean?
Oh, it's huge for us. I mean, this is always a chance to showcase New Zealand, as we said, you know, the manaakitanga that we like to show those guests who are visiting, and just showcase who we are as a nation, but more than that, showcase our elite athletes. And, you know, in New Zealand, I'd like to think that we are trying to show leadership around showcasing our women in sports and giving that level playing field. And absolutely right to say, this is a commercial proposition. We need to demonstrate that rightfully people want to come out and support our Black Ferns because they are exceptional athletes first and foremost, not female athletes, athletes.
100% agree. Clap on my Pakwai, thank you, family. And as you spoke about, New Zealanders, we love hosting. So we'll put on the chop suey and the white bait and the pawa. Can we put that on your account?
Well, we've got a lot of skin in the game as a government. We really wanted this to be here. It is, you know, it's an awesome event, but it also is really meaningful for us to be able to host such an important milestone event. And so, you know, we really want to make sure that we put on a good show. And I know that Kiwis are going to support us in that and that they will turn out.
Well, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for talking to us, Prime Minister. Back to you, Laura.
And put on a show we will. So that concludes the draw for Rugby World Cup 2021. What a fascinating outcome, some epic matchups to be had. And many thanks to our presenters, to the teams, and of course to you, the fans. We look forward to seeing you here very soon. Stay safe. We can't wait to welcome you back for what promises to be an incredibly special Rugby World Cup 2021 right here in New Zealand. We'll see you soon.
An unstoppable energy and inspirational story. Aotearoa, New Zealand looks buzzing. And I mean, if their choice in prime ministers is anything to go by, they've certainly got their ducks in a row. Ugo Monye, let's reflect on this draw. I mean, could you have scripted this any better if you tried?
The beauty of Rugby World Cups is everyone gets super excited. It's easy to get excited about the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, and the finals, but Rugby World Cup 2021 just starts with a bang. It's unbelievable. When you look at the pools and you look at some of the matchups and the rivalry, New Zealand against Australia, Wales were obviously within that group as well. We're still waiting to know who that final qualifier is in Pool A. Canada against USA, brilliant, right from the word get-go. It's going to be absolutely titanic. And then Pool C, the Red Roses up against France. They played one another in Grenoble last week. They're playing one another again at Twickenham on Saturday. South Africa and Fiji. It is cosmopolitan. It is rugby at its finest. So I'm really excited. Of course, we're a little while away, so it's good to know that that energy is really filtering through into the pool stages, because some of those matchups and the history of the rival, we always talk about it, don't we? But I am not having to amplify any of this excitement. It's genuine. I just wish that I was there today, because Jacinda, not only have they got the defending world champions, but they've also got probably one of the coolest prime ministers in the world. I'm sat here as an Englishman with a massive amount of FOMO and envy.
Yes, such a brilliant indication. It's like a milestone for us as we count down the days. I think it's 302 days now until that tournament gets underway. Can you tell them, Amp? It's also brilliant to see. I had the previous pools open in front of me. Do you know that New Zealand and Wales and Australia have been drawn together in a pool before, not once, twice. This is the
wow.
third time that New Zealand,
Yeah.
Australia, and Wales have ended up together in a pool.
That's unbelievable. You asked me beforehand, like, what I'd be excited for. And of course, all eyes were on New Zealand. And when you look at their record, the fact that they've never lost a pool game in Rugby World Cup, the signs are pretty ominous. And love to hear from the captain. As she said, we're not out here defending it. We're out there to win it once again.
Okay, well, thank you so much to everyone who's been rolling on that hashtag RWC 2021, sending us photos and updates and reactions, watching from all over the world. I love seeing Fiji in the house on Twitter as well. We've got visuals. We've got our eyes on you, Carl Tenana.
How are you, team? All good?
Okay.
Looking dapper as always. You cook breakfast yet, Hugo?
Mate, breakfast is nighttime here in England. I've got to say, you're looking. Yeah, exactly. You live in your own bubble. I know you got to just chat with the Prime Minister. Tell us. I mean, for me over here, the way in which he's been able to deal with what's been a really troubling year, and now you've got the World Cup, huge amount of excitement. It must have been a bit of a moment for you chatting to the Prime Minister and in what we're building up to a brilliant year of Rugby World Cup.
100%. You know, she's inspirational. I think that's something that comes across every time she talks. And like you said, she's had to deal with adversity. There's been a lot of tough times throughout the world. And for a person like that to be able to come here and be a part of this launch really adds a lot of respect to it. And, you know, she loves her footy. You know, she's a big Chiefs fan and she's a Waikato girl. So she's rugby ingrained in her. And to have her, I think, in front of these young ladies, in front of these teams, in front of the Black Ferns, absolutely huge. And even just what she said, I think she actually said to me, you can put anything on my card, KT, anything.
Oh, wow.
Anything. Okay, so you guys have the Black Ferns in the house there. They're the only team who get to attend the draw this time around. What was the immediate reaction? Because I'm sure you got line of sight on a few of those faces.
Yeah, I mean, like Eloise said, the captain, which is talking to Ricky, you know, I mean, they're here, they don't weren't too worried about who they had to play, you know, and you guys all know to be the best, you got to beat the best, and I think that's what the attitude is. And in New Zealand, we're really lucky. A lot of our ladies are playing. They've actually got a game tomorrow, so they've come up here and be a part of this, and they just want to play some footy. And let's be honest, everyone does. We were really broken that, you know, a lot of the other representatives from other countries couldn't come down and be a part of this, but I know they're watching at home, and I know they're hashtag and get in touch with you guys. So, you know, it's a real privilege. I think that they are able to hear and represent not only the Black Ferns but the rugby fraternity as a whole for this woman. They were really keen to be here and show that.
Absolutely. KT is sorry, go on, Emma.
Sorry for cutting in, Hugo. I just had a moment where I realized New Zealand would be the first host nation in the women's game to win if they win at home. Is that a lot of pressure?
Don't you jinx it,
How
Alma.
heavy is the expectation?
Oh, as you know, being a South African or England, you know, like when you play at home, there's always that expectation when you put on the jersey to win, you know. So, I mean, it is an added pressure, but talking to Dan Carter about it yesterday in the pre-rehearsals, you know, that's something you have to live to. You can't let it be a burden. You have to use it as fuel to the fire, and it's going to be what it's going to be, you know. And I think sometimes a lot of teams get caught up in having those pressures, you know, and when they're away, they're sort of in their bubbles and doing their thing and relaxing. So I think the approach from the Black Fern ladies will be it's business as usual. Yeah, it's at home for sure, but you're going to have family and friends around. But at the end of the day, it's just another rugby game, and you know, that's the way you got to treat it. Otherwise, it does tend to weigh you down.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carlton Nana. We are definitely going to look forward to speaking to one of the Black Ferns players around the Sky City Theatre as we get some reactions to this draw. Before we get chatting to the team members, though, if you want to be part of the action, you can register for tickets and all of the latest news right now at this link, rug.b/ticket registration. I know we are all buzzing to get traveling and watch some live rugby again. Laurie Kramer, Australian representative, joining our conversation. How do you feel about the prospect of, you know, just a little Australasian rivalry there, just to set up the pool phase?
Yeah, no, I love it. I heard a bit of a giggle in the crowd there where our ball got drawn, so that's good. I think if it's a friendly or friendly or a World Cup game between Australia and New Zealand is always a cracker. So we'll be looking forward to it.
Hi, Laurie, it's Hugo here. Me as an Englishman absolutely love seeing New Zealand collide with Australia, but seeing the two nations collide in the Rugby World Cup year is absolutely different. Can you just put it into words as to what that rivalry is and how much you're looking forward to it next year?
I mean, you got any brothers or sisters there? I think it's kind of like like I said, it doesn't matter what kind of game. It's always really competitive between us. It doesn't matter in which sport even. I think in a World Cup, it's going to be huge. I think by that point of the year, I think we'll just be excited to see any kind of fresh faces from any kind of other countries. So that'll be, we're really excited.
Laurie, I know we're supposed to talk about the draw, but I have to ask you this. I was all over your Instagram earlier to check. Are you still working as a concreter to support your rugby passion?
Oh, made me nervous then. I don't know what you saw. I was doing... I was a concreter for a little while there, but I've just moved down to Sydney, and I've got off the tools because my hamstrings were absolutely hating it. So I started to look after the body a bit more, be a bit smarter. I'm getting old. I'm doing a bit of teacher aid coaching stuff.
Fair play. Hey, Laurie, just last question from me. We heard just in the build-up to the draw that you were Australia, the Wallaroos were described as a sleeping giant. What's the state of play with you guys at the moment?
Yeah, I think being underdogs, and I think you kind of feel like a bit of an underdog whenever I come up against New Zealand. But I think we've got some really exciting things coming. We've had a really good competitive club series in Australia this year, and we've got some big camps coming up. So call us what you like, but a sleeping giant definitely is a good way of putting it. Yes.
Yeah, we'll look after those hamstrings. Stay off the concrete, okay?
Thanks, mate. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the feed.
Thank you so much for joining us. Laurie Kramer from Australia, of course, a winger and a fullback. You can see her playing in the Super W. Let's quickly check in with our Welsh representative, Rachel Taylor, who's a former captain, a veteran of 3 Rugby World Cups, and now one of the women who are leading one of the teams coming into this tournament. It's so good to see former players coming through the ranks and becoming coaches. Rachel, congratulations. I know the announcement went out this week that you are the Welsh skills coach. How do you feel about the result of this draw?
Thank you, guys. It's been a bit of a whirlwind last few days, to say the least. But just to be part of this, and I have to say, like, fantastic effort and display for the draw really adds a bit of hype to it and a bit of excitement. And to get some Southern Hemisphere teams in there is a real privilege for us because we don't cross paths very often. So a massive amount of excitement coming from Wales for those games.
Yeah, a load of positivity coming from Wales this week, yourself as well as Warren Abrahams just enlisted in that coaching role. But there's nothing like sharpening that focus and attention by giving you New Zealand and Australia. It's some pool that you found yourself in. How do you react to that news?
Yeah, we've a sneaky habit of doing that, so it's nothing too much of a surprise for us. But we were lucky to get the hosts in France in 2014, and it was the opening game of the World Cup, and it was a fantastic memory and occasion to be a part of. So we'll hope for New Zealand first game in an iconic rugby stadium would be a pretty epic moment for the Welsh team.
Yeah, that is massive. So you and Warren Abrams now as a coaching team are just breaking all kinds of ceilings here. You're a woman. He's the first black coach of Wales. And the two of you, tell me about how well you know one another and what your game plan is. Just, you don't have to give away trade secrets, but we just want to know what to expect from Wales.
Yeah, I probably won't go out with a game plan this early, no, he's a great guy. I've had the pleasure of trying to catch up with him a bit this week, and I think it's a real statement from the Welsh Rugby Union. It's a real diverse coaching team, and I think that's where we've got to take rugby in Wales now. I think we need to show the world that we're ready to step into that light and really up our game, and hopefully, his experience and his style as a coach will really help us to do that.
And I can assure you, you're going to have some South African support just by virtue of your coach and where he comes from.
Yeah, well, say hello to him for me, and congrats once again, and look forward to catching up next year. All the best.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rachel Taylor, the Welsh skills coach there. So just confirmation, if you missed any of it or didn't make notes, New Zealand, Australia and Wales drawn together in Pool A with the final qualifier winner now. Kenya definitely would have their sights set on that. Colombia also still in with the shot there. Pool B, Canada, USA, Europe 1 and Asia 1. Of course, those qualifiers are still to be confirmed. And Pool C, Le Crunch, and a side order of South Africa, as well as the debutants at Rugby World Cup 2021. Fiji will definitely catch up with one of their players next. But let's quickly check in on the Canadian front, because shoo-wee, you guys have a battle on your hands with USA. Alyssa and Larry, how are you feeling about that prospect?
I think we're feeling really good. We know the USA well, so it's going to be a battle. I think we've talked about all the rivalries. Off the bat, I just want to say how great New Zealand has done through this pandemic, and that we can have this World Cup in front of live people. That's huge. I just want to say thank you for all the work you've done.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And before we focus on the rivalries within the group, of course, USA being one of those big ones. At the moment, it's always a privilege when you get to play for your country. But considering everything that's happened within the last year, how does it feel going abroad, playing in New Zealand, representing your country in the Rugby World Cup?
Yeah, obviously it's going to be huge. I think people want to see some sport because sport brings people together, and I think rugby's always done that in the past. So I'm really excited to see everyone there and to showcase rugby.
Canada has this claim to fame that you guys hosted the last leg of the Sevens before that season was shut down. You returned to Sevens rugby over the last season, having last played a few years ago in that format. How are you personally feeling? How have you maintained, your fitness and your shape? Because it seems like you had a very intense few months there, and then, as with the rest of us, everything just kind of hit pause.
Yeah, I think it's been very unique, and people have to be creative. We have about 20 girls playing abroad in different countries right now, so they're getting some good rugby in. And then we have our Sevens program training hard here on the West Coast, and hopefully the snow doesn't come too soon and we can keep training hard that way.
Okay, well, I hope to definitely see you guys stay in shape and make the most of the weather as much as it allows for it. That's Alyssa Larry for Canada, the winger, joining us on the line. Alicia Washington, welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah,
really it's
good,
lovely
really
to see your friendly face.
Elma, I'm going to have to jump in. I'm really, really sorry. And I know we're here talking about women's rugby and Rugby World Cup. I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. Your uncle and the Chicago Bulls, I'm sorry, because I try and pretend a lot of the time that I'm cool, but I'm not. I'm just a bit of a fanboy. And I got to watch The Last Dance, and I was like, oh my word, what a dude. I cannot believe he's your uncle. Like, that is super cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so awesome. It's so funny. It's just like, he's always been Scott or Uncle Scott to me. But everyone's been like really sort of like fangirling, fanboy for the last few months. And he's so humble. Like, I'm sure you saw on the show, like he's just like, okay, thanks. But like, you expect so much more, a bit more braggadocious, but he's like the most down to earth guy you could ever meet.
Okay, well, apologies.
So,
I'm
Alicia,
sorry, not
what?
sorry, but that's my fanboy moment. There we go.
I'm sure let him
Yeah,
know
we
for
have
sure.
to focus a little here. Come on. Okay, Alicia, let's talk about you. USA women's rugby. You seem to really have such a burning passion. Not only do you play and have all these side hustles going on, but you're also directly involved in trying to recruit more players to the game. Tell us about how that is going. Of course, the draw of a Rugby World Cup is what you say initially really sped up your devotion and dedication to the sport. And I'm sure this time around that's helped to draw in some more friends.
Oh yeah, I mean the sport is definitely growing within the States. A little bit of a halt right now due to COVID, but people are planning. People are finding ways to stay fit, stay involved, become advocates for the game. Definitely up their knowledge of the game because it doesn't naturally come as natural like as American football to most Americans. But people are really looking forward to get back in the game, and I know the team is so excited. The girls are in camp right now with the Pool B. We're super pumped.
Oh, it's amazing. I love seeing the growth of the women's game within America at the moment. I think at one point it was the fastest growing game in the country, which was remarkable. Semi-finalists in the Rugby World Cup 2017. Fingers crossed for what can happen next year. Thank you so much for joining us, and send my love to Uncle Scott. Thank you.
Thank you.
For Alicia, Uncle Scott, top and tail. It's literally all she heard from this interview going, we need to focus, let's maintain composure and just cross to New Zealand. Who are we joined by? Let me see. Hi
there. Hey.
Hi, Kendra.
How are you doing? How you doing?
Oh, it's phenomenal to have you join us this early on a Friday morning. What time did you guys get up on that side, Kendra Coxage?
About 5:45.
Ah, okay. Okay, so it's not too early a start. Come on. Most rugby players have already done their first session of whatever they do by that time. This is a pretty exciting morning, though. It's a big week out there, and you are playing Australia and Wales. This is certainly going to set up a really interesting pool phase.
Yeah, we're really excited, obviously, to be here this morning. There was a lot of energy and excitement around, and it's pretty cool to see the pool drawn. And yeah, for us, it's good. We've got Australia in our pool too, which is really exciting. We've got that, cross Tasman kind of rivalry, which we're excited about, and obviously having Wales in there too. And then the last one still yet to come.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, we've really been able to feel the energy from where I am back here in London. Tell us from your perspective as defended world champions and the host of the World Cup next year, what does it mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. I've been to 3 World Cups now, and having one on home turf is really exciting. And obviously, over here in New Zealand, it's in your DNA. You grow up with it, and rugby's, passionate. Everyone's passionate about it here. So to sit here this morning and the amount of people in the room and the amount of people that are already talking about it, and now the pool draw being done, just makes it more real.
I love the brand mark of the Rugby World Cup that's actually behind you there. Apparently, it's all about the North and the South Island and embodying the vitality of the waves and the oceans and the fact that everyone has to cross oceans to get there and face you guys. How important is this for women's rugby and for rugby in general in New Zealand?
Well, as we continue to talk about that, this, the World Cup anywhere, and women's rugby anywhere in the world is important. And for us having it here, we want to inspire the next generation coming through. And, we've had a lot of growth over the last five to 6 years. So to have a World Cup here and, hopefully the country gets behind us, no doubt they will. And, we're role models here and we've got to inspire that next generation coming through.
Well, you're absolutely doing that with your performances. Defended world champions, all the very best of luck for your game this weekend, or is it tomorrow, in fact, and all your preparations for the Rugby World Cup next year?
Cool, thank you very much. Yeah, the game's tomorrow. So yeah, we're just flying up to Auckland down from Nelson. So we're just up here. Came up last night and then a quick flight back at lunchtime today for our captain's run this afternoon.
Well, good on you. Take care. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Gosh,
Right,
they
so
are
here we are,
busy.
they're
Oh,
back.
hi.
Absolutely. Sarah Byrne and Anne-Marie, great to have you back on the couch. We're obviously talking up the build-up to the draw. Now you've seen the draw, what's the reaction to your pool?
Yeah, some pretty tasty matchups across all the groups. Obviously, France are a team that we've gone toe to toe with quite a lot over the last few years. So, yeah, that'll be a tough match for both teams. And obviously, South Africa and Fiji are going to bring something new and exciting that we haven't really experienced before. So, yeah, really nice mix in our group.
That is a really interesting combination. Do you know what the crazy thing is? This is the 5th time France has been drawn in Pool C. What are the odds of that happening constantly to them? I know that this doesn't mean anything in terms of how they're going to perform. I'm just obviously such a nose for this kind of thing. I'm trying to refocus, okay? Don't laugh at me.
Yeah, sorry. Sarah, Amber, I was going to ask you about the confidence that you guys find yourselves in. Of course, #1 in the world, back-to-back Grand Slam winners. And you rested or rotated quite a lot of the Red Roses out in Grenoble last week and got a pretty convincing win. So you got to say the momentum certainly behind the Red Roses in the build-up to next year's World Cup, right?
You could say that, but we just take every game as it comes. I think it would be complacent to go into any tournament thinking that you have momentum behind you. You've just got to play what's on the pitch. And we're so lucky that we had the depth and we've been able to rotate our squad, and the girls put in a great performance last week, which for us is just amazing that we have such a big squad and so many girls that can manage to go out and perform on that pitch.
Not only are they immaculate rugby players, but immaculately presented when it comes to media, because I just got a lovely straight back. I'm trying to talk you up, and we just take each game as it comes and keep our head down, and fingers crossed we'll do it okay. I think you guys are great. I think you're absolutely superb. So I'm happy to be your cheerleader and your hype man for a year at least.
That's brilliant. We need loads of those. So the more the merrier.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. Take it easy.
Okay, so next up, we are turning our attention to the Red Roses' opponents in Pool C. As I said, 5th time they're drawn in there, and Gabrielle Venier joins us now. What's your reaction to the pool you're in?
It's going to be amazing. And we can what can I say, against England is gonna be games like a different game, but it's gonna be a game against our rival, but our it's gonna be great. What can I say? We played against them last week, and we will play against them this weekend. But we work hard in order to be at our best for the competition next year. So work, and our best for New Zealand.
Just apologies. We had some gremlins in the system. As far as I know, I crashed. And you did as well. You go, but Gabrielle, thank you so much for holding the fort.
Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Just what I was just going to say there. It's a shame we've lost Gabrielle, and apologies for the Wi-Fi issues. This is what it is, working remote. I think that England-France fixture in Pool is massive. I thought it was amazing how Jacinda referred to it is not just rugby, but also the women's game, and to create the she was talking about my daughter, but it was just 2 years ago France had 18 and 19,000. That was a world record for a women's game. So the appetite and enthusiasm and the drive to help boost the women's game is absolutely exceptional. That's exactly why I'm really looking forward to that matchup in Pool C.
Oh, it's certainly such exciting stuff. And I can see on my screen that we are joined by one of my people. Finally, now I can gush about my country for a bit, because Hugo Monye has literally just been the #1 fan for the Red Roses, and we see the bright smile of Nolusindiso Boy joining us. Welcome, our South African captain, to the draw show. Nolusindiso, I think you are on mute. Are you on mute? Please unmute yourself.
This is so 2020. I'll
Thank
tell
you
you
so
what.
much for welcoming me. My lines were just breaking. That's why I was on mute. So I'm trying to fixing that.
Oh, it's Cape Town problems, this.
Yeah, I hope your connection on the rugby pitch is better than your internet connection, that's for sure. But thank you for joining us today.
For sure.
No, listen, Diso. So you had a broken foot and you couldn't play in the qualification matches that landed South Africa at the spot at Rugby World Cup 2021. You did play in 2010, 2014. South Africa didn't compete in 2017. And so I think it's important to give people outside of the country a better understanding of where women's rugby finds itself, because for a long time there was just this lull. We were not competing, and so much effort has been going into rebuilding women's rugby in a manner of speaking in South Africa. What is the situation at the moment?
Now the ladies have been working so hard and trying to prepare for the World Cup. And yes, we didn't play in 2017's World Cup. In 2010, I was the part of that in 2017. And I know it is not easy. It is really tough. But now we've been working so hard, and there is the COVID that is blocking everyone. Like each and every country is facing that problem of the COVID. But we've been pushing. Each and every one of us is working really hard to go and compete for 2021's World Cup.
Yeah, hard work to get there, that's for sure. When you look at Pool C, you've got Fiji, you've got France, and you've got England. Who do you think poses the biggest threat in that group to you?
I don't mind any team. I know everyone is going to come as a challenge. So we take each and every team as they come. But, you know, sometimes it's nice to play with the bigger teams so that you can see where you are and give everything that you have at that time.
Nolusindiso, I love the video that Siya Kolisi posted. Did he just come check in with you guys at the academy there in Stellenbosch, and he seems to be your #1 fan?
He is inspiration. Ever since from the World Cup that they win, they show us they could being our role models and inspiration to us. So I really appreciate everything that he did for us.
Oh, awesome. Now, Nolusindiso, send all of our best regards to your teammates there. I know that you guys are a tight-knit bunch, and we're excited to see you at Rugby World Cup 2021. Good luck with the preparations. Excellent. Sarima Lebenikila. Yes, it's time to check in with Fiji, making their debut at Rugby World Cup 2021. Sarima, welcome to the show. How are you feeling about your draw position?
I was pretty excited to see our draws. Also happy we weren't included on Pool A. But yeah, it's exciting going against powerhouses of women's rugby. Yeah, it's all very new, so yeah, excited.
Yeah, you've got every reason to be excited. A brilliant pool that you find yourself in. You mentioned that everything's slightly new. You've also got a new coaching staff set up there. So how are they bedding in, and how's training been going in preparations for next year's World Cup?
It's been going great. Our next camp is actually around next week, so we'll be marching in and we'll see how it goes towards the preparation towards the World Cup. So yeah, it's progressing, but slow. But yeah, we'll get there.
And you guys have a new high performance center along with your new coach, right?
Yes, we haven't really gotten into camp with him yet. So we've been in the High Performance Academy, and we had the privileges of going under former Flying Fijians coaches that's been teaching us and showing us, upgrading our skills and getting us ready for the Rugby World Cup.
Superb. Well, it sounds like you've got the infrastructure and an appetite for it. So all the very best of luck. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's so exciting to see Fiji as they prepare to participate at Rugby World Cup 2021. The first time they will be flying the Fijian flag there. And we all just love any Fijian team in action. I mean, they just bring so much flair to rugby. And it's phenomenal to see that that their women's team now enjoys such amazing support. Outside of the big four, New Zealand, England, France, Canada. Which team are you most excited about seeing in action at this Rugby World Cup?
Well, I had the privilege of going to the World Cup in 2017, and I felt that the US team were actually exceptional, full of athletes. I think the way in which they go and attract rugby players in, so lots of track athletes who actually use those talents to put them on the pitch. So I'm really looking forward to them. I know the men's program have got a great game, and the women's game is certainly developing to a huge degree. As you've already mentioned, Fiji. We just love watching Fijians play in any format it is. And of course, this will be a brand new experience, but an experience that they'll be looking forward to. And it's good to know that they've obviously been pulled under the Flying Fijians. They've got a superb coaching staff there with Cotter and the like. So hopefully that high performance centre really pays off for them, upskills them and gets them prepped for what should be an absolutely tremendous World Cup next year.
Let's check in with Ricky and Katie just to get a final thought from them in Auckland.
Thanks, Alma. Well, we've let us out again from backstage, and you know what happens when they let us out? We go pinching stuff, and we found what these women are going to be playing for next year. This is the World Cup. It's actually getting a bit heavy. We might have to pass it off. You hold on to the base. Or hand it off. Yeah, I think we'll fit a couple in there. We have had such a great morning here in New Zealand. It's about 8:30 in the morning, so we just got ready for breakfast. But KT, the buzz, the energy in the room was quite tense when that draw was happening.
Oh, 100%. You know, and to be expected. You know, so much on it. Everyone's wondering how it's going to all shape up, and it's finally there. I know now the team can actually relax and know who they've got the focus on. And like you said, the excitement around the whole situation, it's just been a buzz.
Yeah, it's been really cool. Obviously, we were waiting, guys, to see where France had come out, that France-England pool. But there's so many great matches across the board. Can we just do it now? Let's just get on with it. I'm ready to go. I don't want to wait another year.
Just said that. Let's go get it.
Let's go. We absolutely can't wait to have you guys here in New Zealand for this World Cup next year. We'll see you again soon. We'll do all the build-up. It's been so much fun.
You're going to love the Kiwis. They just have the most infectious energy this evening. It almost doesn't feel like bedtime now because they're so pumped for this. But I mean, seeing a Rugby World Cup hosted in New Zealand, I was fortunate enough to be there in 2011 for what was a very, very special tournament. It's almost unbelievable that it's taken them this long to land the rights to welcome the rugby universe to the land of the long white cloud. Final thoughts from you, Hugo?
Yeah, one of excitement, expectation and hope. I feel the Rugby World Cup 2021 gives us all an opportunity to really kind of just set our sights on hopefully what will feel and look like a totally different world. This year's been really tough, and today the draw has given us a load of excitement and yeah, a lot of food for thought. So yeah, congratulations to New Zealand on being world champions, on putting together a fantastic draw this morning. Yeah, we've now just got to play that waiting game and get all 12 teams across to New Zealand and battle it out to see who's going to be Rugby World Cup champion next year, 2021.
Make sure you follow the links on all of our digital platforms to register now so that you can keep getting updates about the Rugby World Cup 2021 and also get registering to get your hands on some tickets because you don't want to miss out on any of this action. It has been, as you guys says, an intense year. We have been talking about a lot of stuff this year. We have been doing some housekeeping and plenty of movements have focused our energies on important changes that need to be made. It feels like we're on the cusp of something big in 2021, and I am so excited for the energy and the enthusiasm, the passion and the power that this Rugby World Cup is going to show us women possess. So this is the sport that unites us, and we can't wait to be reunited in New Zealand. See you in Aotearoa in 2021.